Let me put it this way. The decentralized system, or let's say the political system in which we are, is that we feel that the people are those who are supposed to be under, and then the head of state is the one who is supposed to be on top. It doesn't work that way, you understand? So the problem is that people feel that, people consider a head of state as a father, like, no, he's older, and we have, yes, it's true, we have to respect him, I do agree with that. But the point is, in other systems, when you look at other English-speaking countries, right? You look at countries like Ghana, Nigeria, even recently Sierra Leone and Rwanda, right? If you are to follow the addresses that were made by the head of state in those countries, they were doing what they call accountability report. So you tell us that, okay, what has been the end of year financial budget of 2022? How was the budget managed? Because one of the problems with this country is that the 2024 budget has recently been adopted, and we don't even know what has been done with the previous budget of the 2023, 24, and even we can even go down to 2010. So we are in the country where those who are ruling us, if I can put it this way, honestly, not only they don't think anything positive about us, and they don't even care. Because look at, you have a head of state who is there to make what we call observation. He's the one telling you that, I know you guys don't have light. I know you guys are going through, do travel and hustle. You don't have, when you want to manage your business, you don't have light, you don't have fuel. I'm aware of that. No, that's not, we don't want from any head of state. What we expect from any head of state, right, is to play his role according to the constitution. Because one of the problems with this country is that everything is being done outside of the law. I'm going to tell you, for instance, in that same speech, when you have a head of state who is trying to train teachers and to tell them that those who are not part of syndicate will no longer be represented in the ongoing dialogue. How do you consider that? Those OTS and OTS, right, they have been kept aside and sent away on the basis that they are not legal representative of teachers. Now, when you look at most of those teachers in that system, right, most of them actually are effective members of that syndicate, because most of the syndicate actually have been invaded by the CRM members, and at times they are corrupt. So anyway, now let me come to the content of the speech, right? I just want to figure out and let my brother know that, when we talk of democracy in this country, a lot of people have died, right? And a lot of people are continuously losing their life. When you look at some famous political leaders, right? Some of them are still being in prison. And when we are talking about, he said that Mr. Paul Biya gave us free speech. Is there free speech in this country? If I'm to talk freely here, are you quite sure that I'm not going to be arrested and convicted of what I'm going to say freely? Listen, my brother, I don't want to, this is a free debate, that's true. But there's a lot of things that I cannot say here, if not, I'm going to be arrested. Now, I want to let you know that it is true, he promised us that there will be rigor, that he said, as my fellow panelists pointed out, when he took power, he took over, he said there will be rigor and there also be openness of democracy. But the reality is that, what I want to say is that it's up to us now, Cameroonians, right? We have to fight, and we have to fight collectively and together, and we need to understand that the current system is a failed system, and we are in a failing government. And once the government has failed, right, what we need to do now is to take our responsibility. Because when you look at that speech, that was actually made by the head of state, right? First, right from the beginning, the head of state tells you that, okay, we are going through hustle and difficulty in this country because of the international situations, because of the ongoing war in Ukraine, Russia, and even in Israel and Hamas war. But at the time you ask yourself that, okay, we have to agree that our economy is absolutely a dependent economy. You understand? So we depend from, because we actually import everything. We are not producing anything in this country. So it's quite obvious that, okay, somebody, the head of state is going to tell you that, okay, the country is not actually operating effectively because since we're importing everything about 100%, even now we're importing oil from Gabon, which were not possible some few years ago by the Aido times. Now, when you look at it, right, you ask yourself that, okay, what and who is this kind of head of state who is going to come and make observations instead of main facts and telling you that, okay, this is where I'm going to take you guys. But the truth is there is that this is something that a lot of people will not actually acknowledge and even not want to admit when you look at how the system is being run out, right? Which is actually the Cameroon government, the Cameroon system, actually is not the product of the Cameroonian decisions and will. Let me put it otherwise. The current system has not been put in place by the willness of Cameroonians. This is something, if we date back to history, it is very important. You are going to understand that the current system, and it is something which is actually related to almost all Central African countries and even West African countries, right? Our state has not yet been taught by us, decided by us, and operate by us. But they are still, whether we want it or not, right? There's still what we call international influence, and you know, those actually who are operating into the system so that they can benefit from our soil, subsoil, and everything, raw materials we have. But the truth is, we need to ask ourselves that, does this man really love this country? Because I'm scared and I'm so frightened about something. If this man is to die, let's say he passed away, to use the euphemism, right, to make it more less intense, right? If this man is to pass away, will this country be peaceful? When you look at it, there's a lot of social tension going on. Look at the Anglophone crisis in the Southwest. It has been 7 years now. This is the 8th one going. The still war is still going. Blood is being shed out. So, and a lot of people are still dying. And we have a head of state who told us that things are under control. Things are slightly being coming down. You know, I think one of the problems is that we need to ask ourselves, after 40 years, even those who are among the most critical and intellectuals, at times they become dull. Because after 40 years or 41 years of governance, right, at times you are going to realize that youth, and there I'm going to agree with him, he said something very relevant that I do agree with him, that it's up to us now, it's our responsibility, our liability as youth, to take up our responsibility and to play our role. But one of the questions that I would like, if I were in your position, in your shoes, that I would have put to him was, okay, you want you to do something, but why is it that most political parties are not doing anything? Because let me actually sum up by saying that right now in Cameroon, speech will no longer help us. What we need now is action, collective action to defend our people's interests. Because by the constitution, if you take our constitutions, Article 2, they will clearly tell you that the people are the sovereign. We are the sovereign. It means that Vox Dei, Vox Populis. We are the one to have the power. We are the one to tell the president that we want you to go this way and not that way. And that's why you see most English-speaking people, not to say Anglophones, because for me it's a little bit discriminatory, most of them actually, we want a federal system that will enable us to have different, autonomous and independent organism of power. Because one of the problems with the current system is that it's only one individual who is controlling the life of, 28 million Cameroonians or 30 million Cameroonians. It's no longer possible. When you look at the population growth, almost every day, the population is, increasing. And if we still think, and in a very wrong way, that only one person can think about what is good for us, what is right, and what is not right for us, believe me, we are not going to come. So it's high time we try to think about the system, how the system can be not only changed, but how the system actually can be renewed in such a way that we can create different pool of decisions and different decision-making process and policy where the people will be integrated. Now, let me complete my speech by saying this. Do you know that in terms of rule of law, according to the electoral law, for instance, I think it's Article 73 or 53, I guess, it is clearly stated that a LECAM, right, which is in charge of organizing an election in Cameroon, must release and publish the result of the number of candidates in the list that has been registered in 2023 up to now, and this must be done every 30th December. But up to now, nothing. We don't know yet. And the new enrollment of new potential voters is supposed to be launched away right from next Monday. Now, how do we explain that? And there's also something that really aches me that I really needed to talk about in this live show, right? Which is the fact that in this country now, the presidency is another tribunal now. And it is wholesome, it is terrible, it is even awful. Can you imagine that? On the 30th November 2023, the Secretary General at the presidency released, I don't know whether I would call it a decree, you know, it's not a decree, but I think I would call it, yes, instruction, thank you, saying that people who actually hold a land title, right, in the Douala Airport land or territory should actually be counsel. Can you imagine what that means? So, a presidency will cancel the land title of people without going to court, whether this is the competencies of the administrative tribunal. Can you imagine? And the presidency itself does not know the difference in terms of rule of law between the removal of a land title, which is to be done, the cancellations of a land title, which is supposed to be related to the competencies of administrative courts and tribunals. So I think that they have failed. We need to recognize that. The error of said speech for me was what we call intellectual masturbation. You know, like this is something that has been saying over and over again, and we have been hearing. So I think it's high time people start thinking about taking action, because it's like Frank Fanon once said that every generation in a relatively opacity context has to discover its missions, and he has to take up that missions and responsibility, or he has to betray it. So I think it's high times we understand that youth, independent organizations, civil society organizations, they need to come out and take actions. Speech will no longer work out. Speech are ineffective, and we have seen that for 40 years now. So that is what I wanted to point out for the first party. Thank you for listening. D'accord, merci beaucoup à monsieur et donc Armand Ruiz pour cette prise de parole. Tout le monde justement aura sa prise de parole. Alors avec vous, monsieur Landjok Eric, vous avez justement suivi ce discours. Nous allons entrer maintenant, nous allons voir quand le président de la République, son excellence Paul parle justement de l'accès à l'électricité et de l'eau, désormais qui seront, n'est-ce pas, effectifs au sein du territoire national. Est-ce qu'on peut là déjà dire que c'est déjà une mesure salutaire annoncée par le président de la République?
Vous employez des termes très forts parlant de mesures. Je vous ai dit dès le départ, et je comprends l'inquiétude de mon frère, il ne faut pas qu'on se perde dans le thème qu'on est venu. On est venu parler du discours du président du 31 décembre 2023. Concernant le Cameroun, il y a beaucoup à dire. Ça est, et le président lui-même n'a pas évoqué tous les thèmes, il a évoqué les thèmes qu'il pense que ces thèmes ou ces questions tenaient à cœur aux Camerounais et qu'il fallait qu'ils communiquent dessus. C'est mon avis. Que c'est ça. Parce que si on se met à débattre sur le Cameroun, qui a apporté la démocratie, qui a apporté tout ça, on ne va pas s'en sortir. On va même sortir du discours du 31 décembre. Merci donc de nous recadrer. Et la première question que vous voulez aborder, le président a commencé son discours par l'économie. L'économie, lorsqu'on parle de carburant, lorsqu'on parle d'électricité, on parle d'énergie. Et qui dit production dit énergie. Nous voyons même les guerres qui se passent partout dans le monde, généralement à 80% sont guerres. Ces guerres sont des batailles d'énergie, des batailles économiques. Qui va contrôler l'énergie dans le monde, qui va contrôler les sources de la production d'énergie. Et il y a des faits qui sont là. Ce ne sont pas des mesures. Le président de la République a dit qu'il a prescrit. Et j'ai dit dès le départ que les prescriptions ne sont pas mauvaises, les instructions ne sont pas mauvaises, mais encore faut-il qu'il y ait et que les Camerounais adoptent dans leur mentalité ou quelque chose que le président n'a pas peut-être appris à son gouvernement, à ses collaborateurs, à ceux-là qui gèrent la chose publique, c'est le fait de rendre compte. Si vous regardez bien au Cameroun, les responsables n'ont pas appris quelque chose d'essentiel dans la gestion de la chose publique, c'est rendre compte. Rendre compte à qui? Rendre compte au peuple. Parce que, comme mes companélistes l'ont dit, il y a un contrat entre le gouvernement, entre le président et le peuple qu'il a élu. Le président a des droits et des devoirs, le peuple également a des droits et des devoirs. C'est un contrat. Et le président, en tant que représentant des institutions, le président en tant que le responsable de toute la nation ou son gouvernement, personne à son niveau ne rend compte au Cameroun. Nous avons parlons de l'économie. Ok. Le budget de 2023 était à 6 milliards et 450 millions. 6 000 milliards et 450 millions. Dans ces 6 milliards 450 millions, plus de 4 milliards 500 devaient venir des recettes de l'État. Ça veut dire les recettes douanières, les recettes fiscales et tout ça. Il y avait 1600 millions qui devaient venir de l'emprunt et 91 millions qui devaient venir des dons. Est-ce que on nous a dit, est-ce que le budget 2023, est-ce que nous avons atteint ces 6 450 milliards? On ne sait pas. Est-ce que l'allocation de ce budget a été respectée en termes de ressources et d'emplois? On ne sait pas. Est-ce qu'on peut faire une évaluation? Pour vous rappeler seulement, je parle sous le contrôle de notre frère sur le panel qui est président de parti. Il doit savoir que lors de la session de novembre parlementaire, les députés ont dû attendre la loi de finances 2024. Il est au courant de ça. Et ça a même failli créer la rallonge. Or, une loi de finances, la loi de finances 2024, la loi de finances d'un pays, normalement, devrait être sur la table des parlementaires au moins un mois avant même que la session parlementaire ne commence. C'est un document qui a 5000 pages d'annexes.
Selon les textes internes justement de l'Assemblée nationale, je crois article 23.
Voilà. Donc, mais c'est venu au cours. Les députés n'ont pas eu 2 jours. Voilà, ils n'ont pas eu 2 jours.
C'est la pratique qui existe
pour lire le truc. Est-ce qu'on nous a rendu compte? Est-ce qu'on a rendu compte aux députés qui sont les représentants du peuple? Comment est-ce que le budget 2023 a été alloué en termes de ressources et d'emploi? Parlons d'économie. La Sonara, qui, à cause de l'incendie qui a eu lieu, peut-être certaines personnes ont oublié, août 2019. Août 2019. À quel niveau on en est avec la réhabilitation, monsieur le président? La Sonara est un névralgique pour l'énergie au Cameroun. Imaginez bien que les États-Unis, pour prendre seulement ces pays, les pays européens déclenchent les guerres pour l'énergie. Ça veut dire que si quelqu'un s'attaque au pétrole américain, les États-Unis sont prêts à déclarer une guerre à ce pays. Et à détruire même tout le pays, seulement parce que le monde entier pour l'énergie. Mais la Sonara a été détruite. Il y a eu une enquête qui a été ouverte. Monsieur le Président, messieurs les membres du gouvernement, est-ce que le Cameroun, depuis 4 ans, a eu... L'enquête a produit quoi? Les Camerounais veulent savoir. C'est au moins le minimum qu'on doit aux Camerounais. Pour qu'au moins, même si tout va mal, que nous soyons au moins rassurés et que nous sachions où est-ce qu'on va. On est passé de 1000 milliards à 640 milliards. Et on doit encore baisser. Quelle sera la conséquence pour les obéissances civiques?
Qu'est-ce qu'il appelle